Minister, Ireland has the highest electricity costs in the whole of Europe, and it's not by accident. It is a strategic objective of this government to increase the price of electricity, to reduce the level of consumption, to fulfil its climate change objectives. And that is the whole truth of the matter. And, we've seen this debate rumble on now for about 2 years, where the government pretends to be focused on reducing the price of electricity, but still does nothing about the price of electricity whatsoever. And, the idea that we are an outlier now in terms of electricity costs is incredible. We are pushing people into poverty. Families currently are awake overnight wondering which bills they can pay. They're either going from overdraft to overdraft, or now they're in the hands of moneylenders. The government has allowed Electric Ireland to make massive profits without making any changes in relation to that, and has driven up taxes in real terms in relation to fuel. And this is not just pushing people into poverty, it's actually pushing people out of their jobs. I myself and other TDs from Meath was at a meeting last night with Tara Mines workers. And one of the reasons why 650 people in Tara Mines are out of work at the moment, and about another 1,000 jobs in danger in County Meath in relation to it, is because of the extraordinarily high price of electricity in this country. Similar mines at the same zinc price in Sweden are operational, because they have a government that actually means business in terms about reasonable prices of electricity. And in terms of fuel, in the middle of a cost of living crisis, you put up taxes on fuel in June. You put up tolls in July. You put up taxes on fuel in September. You put up taxes on fuel again in October. How does that marry with the idea that the government is actually concerned about people who are struggling in the cost of living crisis? It's a government going in the opposite direction as giving help to the people struggling from the cost of living crisis. And in actual fact, a parliamentary question that I've put in has shown that the government is making more in taxes receipts currently in the jaws of a cost of living crisis than they ever did before. An incredible situation. And interestingly, the government is making more from extra taxes on fuel, plus the extra profits in Electric Ireland, than it is giving back to people in terms of the electricity credits. So it's taking from the taxpayer in one hand and giving it back in the other hand, and expecting a clap on the back for it. And these one-off payments are, I believe, very political. They are the idea to give a feel-good feeling to citizens in the run-up to an election year next year. I believe it's very, very cynical in the government's approach. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here as well is one of the reasons we have such high electricity costs in this country is this government is failing in delivery of capital projects. So there is a real administration problem happening in Ireland. Projects are glacial in their delivery, and they're massively overcosted. And that's happening right throughout society. We can see in Middleton, for example, the people of Middleton suffering from floods back in 2015, the government saying in 2016 that they would help, and yet the planning application hasn't even gone in to the county council in terms of that particular project. So the government is failing it's been tied up in bureaucracy, it's been tied up in red tape, and a massive amount of it is waste as well. And I listened to the government over the weekend talking about the fact that one of the reasons these capital projects are being slowed down is because people are taking court cases against these planning applications. First of all, they are taking court cases, but those planning applications in their own right are absolutely glacial in terms of being delivered. And if court cases are taking a really long time in this country, they are because the court system in this country is horrendously inefficient. We don't have court cases going through the system in a speedy fashion. Ireland is creating major problems for ourselves infrastructurally and in terms of capital investment. And it's going to get worse. And we see that in the National Children's Hospital. We see that in terms of the metro system, obviously the Middleton situation, even the Navan to Dublin rail line. It's taking years for that to be built. The Navan to Dublin rail line was built in 3 years with picks and shovels in the 1850s. It's taking a 25-year period now to get delivered in this country. And if we can't deliver capital projects, we can't create energy in an efficient time to make sure that there's competition and the prices come down. So there's a major responsibility, I believe, on the government in relation to this. I would urge rich ministers to stop making decisions that are pushing struggling families into poverty on a weekly basis in this country.